Here are 5 signs I've learned that tell me it's time to walk away from a relationship as a clinical research professional who understands the impact of stress on the body and brain. I've seen people say that walking away from relationships is inhumane. What I've learned is that staying in relationships that repeatedly harm is actually harmful for both parties. The number one indicator that it's time to walk away is that repair is not happening. No matter how many times you have a conversation, it may end in apologies, but there's never any behavioral change. That's not called a resolution, it's called a reset, and I don't want to be on a roller coaster where I feel like I can never get off. Remaining in these constant feedback loops keep your body in a chronic state of stress because your brain eventually learns that there's no real safety or predictability. Relationships are supposed to feel like a safe space, and even if there's difficult conversation trying to work through the issue, that doesn't mean it's not necessarily safe. Until there's change, healthy distance is perfectly acceptable. The second sign is when my body tenses up around people, but when I'm not around them, I relax. You know when you feel that gush of anxiety going through your body, you just feel extremely unsettled? That's a psychological response that deserves being listened to. I'm of the belief that I don't think people understand how powerful our brains are. The reason why we have these responses is because your brain is trying to tell you something. One of the main things our brain is designed to do is keep us safe. When a relationship constantly puts your body in a state of stress and that information goes to your brain, creating distance is not a form of weakness. That's you acting on information. Number 3 is when the conversations shift from the actual issue at hand to the boundary that you have placed. Distance is a boundary, and just because you put distance between you and someone doesn't mean that you're exiling them from your life. It could mean that you just don't see them as frequently, you don't talk as much, you don't share personal information. If somebody is more focused on those 3 things as opposed to actually resolving the issue at hand, tells me those precautions are there with good reason and I should continue to keep them intact. For me, a lot of these signs are just in alignment with self-respect and dignity. I've learned that self-respect means I'm not going to be negotiating my basic needs with you. If I need distance because of whatever action, that's what I need. And dignity is me not having to over-explain why I need that distance. Number 4 is when I realize that my endurance in a relationship is replacing the mutual care. I don't know where this thought came for me, but I always used to thought that withstanding a relationship or staying in a relationship or just the act of endurance was a form of love. In reality, sometimes when it comes to relationship, endurance is just fear because you feel as though if you don't keep pushing through, the love that that person has for you or the care they have for you will be removed. I've learned that endurance is constantly praised, but without repair, endurance isn't love, just me trying to survive the relationship. And when you're in a constant state of survival, that's associated with stress. And we know I don't like bad stress. And the last sign is when I feel like grace is starting to replace my health, my sleep, my sanity. I think it's very important to extend grace to other people, but I also think it's harmful to excuse certain behavior. If I have to spend time explaining someone else's behavior to other people so it doesn't look as bad, or constantly telling myself they didn't mean it even though it keeps happening, it's time to create that healthy distance.